let me talk to you about oxtail. Now don't turn out yet. I know it's scary, but if you stick through it, maybe you'll end up liking it. So you stay around. It's an oxtail. It's cowtail. Let's just get that out of the way. Considered awful, but it's not awful. It's quite nice. I'll just show you here. We have 2 kilos of oxtail, and it's meat. It's just meat. It's not your organ meat. I mean, it's not heart. It's not brain. It's nothing like that. It's just meat, and it's on the tail. It's just a little thinner part, and it's a little more gelatinous because it has collagen in it, which you find in bones and skin and Hollywood lips. So, I mean, it's not scary. You see it on the screen all the time. And it's delightful. So this is going to make a nice hearty stew, and it's a really nice cheap cut of meat that you can buy a lot of, and well, as I said, it's cheap. So look into it, consider it, don't be afraid. Ask your meat section of your store for it, and the butcher will be very happy that you asked. So, all right. Now, the first thing is when you have your oxtail, you're going to soak it ahead of time, and that's going to be to get out the blood. So you're going to have, I know it sounds gross, but it's fine, don't panic again. You're just going to soak it in cold water for about 2 hours minimum, and then you want to change the water about 3 times, just so that the blood is all out. And that's because when you do the stew, you're going to have a cleaner stew. You're not going to have that kind of blood like sediment in it. So it's just going to turn out a little nicer for you. So after you've done that, you're going to drain it, and then you're going to pat it dry with kitchen towel, so that when you put it into brown in your pot, you're not going to have a lot of water on it kind of hissing off, and it's going to be a faster and a better fry. So we've got carrots. You guys have seen carrots before. We got celery, 2 carrots, 2 onions. Look at these beautiful French ones. And then 2 fat cloves of garlic. For carrots, you know I'm not an expert chopper, so don't get on my case, okay, people? But if you want to be all Frenchy, chefy, perfect, you know you're going to take the sides off. You're going to cut them into like squares, like that kind of jobby. And then, you know, you'll get your perfect angles. But I kind of think that's a waste sometimes, so I just kind of use the sides. But today I'll do a little dice for you. Here's what I would be doing. Because you do want your vegetables to be even, so that they all brown at the same time properly. If one's too big and the others are too small, then you have kind of a off cooking. We're supposed to mention that the vegetable dice is supposed to be very, very fine, because it's not that you're getting a bunch of vegetables in your stew. You're not going to be like, this is a great carrot. It's going to kind of disintegrate in flavor. Aromatics, as Chettle has said. I like these things. So anyway, get your celery out, people. So we're chopping tiny bits, and getting the fingers. I'm not professional, we've mentioned that. And little teeny tiny ones. Yeah. So we got our onions here, and you remember, again, not a professional, but this is my way of doing a dice, because I don't like to do the sideways dice, because it scares me, if we're being honest, and I think we are. I think we're friends now that we can talk about this. Do the little side one. And, I need a sous chef person to come in and do my chopping for me. I know there's volunteers out there that would like to make a trip to Stockholm. Giraffe and a half, I hear you out there. Twitter, we're just a Twitter club, you know. So here we do in a little doot 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 doot. Now we're on to the garlics. And I really have no set way of doing garlic. As you've seen in the past, I continue my trend of just chopping until it's there. And hopefully not getting a fingernail or anything else in there to add more flavor. Chettle's nervous over there. You can see me. He's like, what are you doing? So now we've got these lovely vegetables chopped. I'm just going to prepare everything ahead of time so that when we go to the stove, it kind of flows. It's kind of like doing a stir fry. You want everything kind of ready at your beck and call. So now we're going to do pancetta, which is going to give a nice little richness to our sauce. You know, I like to add a little bit of pig to everything. So if you can't find pancetta, you know, try and find some green bacon that hasn't been smoked already, or if in a pinch, you can do just regular bacon from the store. So here, this is our pancetta, and it's about 150 grams. I'm going to take it, and I'm allowed to cut it in a little bigger chunks than the other stuff. So, and what do we call that? Rustique. Yeah, everything I do is rustique. So we're just going to do, you might hear it called lardons as well. So. Rustique. Bob's your uncle. Who's this Bob and why is he uncle? Actually, I know the story behind that. I'll come back to you with that. All right. So now we're going to do the bouquet garni. Bouquet! It's a really Frenchy thing. Basically, you're just putting some herbs together and putting it in the pot. So you could tie them together. I've seen that done. Or you could just dump them in and try and fish them out later. I've tried that as well. But today, since Chettel's here and you know we got to mind our P's and Q's, we're going to do it a little fancy schmancier. We're going to use these compress bandagey things, which is just kind of gauze, basically. I cut you. It's terrible. Ooh. Okay, so we got that. We're just going to take a little bunch of parsley. And you remember the flat leaf parsley thing I talked about? You can have the curly stuff. You know, it doesn't matter, but I think aesthetically it's nicer to work with that one. You stay in there. The Lake Como laurel leaves, picked from Italy. Remember, you don't have to have them picked from from Italy by lovely homosexual men. You can go to the store and just pick them up fresh. Thyme, timion. What should we see? Got a little root in there. Ooh. You stick you in there. I like thyme, so I'm just going to do another little bitty bob in there. Now this looks crazy. This is like a forest. Come back, come back. Okay. Just going to make a little. We got some string, just like you would have in your kitchen, hopefully, to tie up meat or any other such thing, or if you're into the weird stuff, whatever you're tying up, cool. You know, mine's sticking out there a little. Whatever, it's fine. Okay, so. And here's all the lovely ingredients in our pot. So we've added the lardons here to a medium-high heat. And then we're going to add butter and a little bit of olive oil. And combining the two cuts down on any burning that you would get if you had just had olive oil. But you don't have to have a cast iron pot. Whatever you have in your kitchen, a Pyrex will work. You might want to fry it up in a skillet and transfer it. Just something with a lid. Now you're going to add the meat, because you want to caramelize it and get a brown coating on the outside for taste. I've put the meat in at different times because there are different sizes. I put the larger cuts in earlier because they're going to take a little longer to brown than the smaller cuts. So just keep an eye on them. So then keep an eye on them when they're ready to turn and they do have that nice brown on them. Turn them over to the other side. And remember also to watch your bacon. You don't want the little lardons to start burning underneath.
Then once you feel that you've got the meat browned enough for your taste, go ahead and put that off on a dish on the side. Now it's time to add the veg, and just all the veg in at once here, your onions, your celery, the garlic. But hold off on the herbs, we're going to put those in at the end. Now we're going to add the half bottle of wine and stir, or a little more, or just a little touch more. And then bring that to a simmer. Once you've had a chance to let the wine taste, the alcohol taste simmer off, you're going to add the meat back in. And make sure you get all of the juices that are on the plate, because they're really going to add flavor, so don't let those go to waste. Now you're going to add just enough water to cover the meat. And you're going to add your bouquet garni, finally. Make sure it gets down in the juices. And then you're going to put the lid back on. Make sure you get it up to a simmer so that you have a fighting chance and it's good to go. And then you're going to keep it on a low simmer for 3 or 4 hours until the meat is falling off the bone. And then along the way, it's just like a stock. You just want to skim off the impurities, the extra fat, the scum. Simply frying up some potatoes here to go along with this. If you want a thicker sauce, just remove the meat and then reduce the sauce until you're happy with it, and then return the meat for like 5 minutes to heat through.
That can be the last shot. Ooh, turn on.